We're rolling? Okay, good. This is the caliper portion of the training. From the home screen, you can choose caliper. You still have the same marquee. That's for the conveyor itself. The caliper, this is a new style. Of course, here's your electronic caliper here. In the past, you've had to reset and teach the caliper where you draw the book into position and do something to get it lined up. This one's automatic. It's automatically going to go to the center of the book to check it. The arm is automatically going to go into position. You don't have to mess with that anymore. You pretty well just turn it on. This red indicator light is going to flash every time a bad book goes through to let you know when it sent a signal to the controller to reject the book. On this screen here, you can see this is a 20 pocket system. All the registers are empty with zeros, which means that it's ready for fresh learns. What's going to happen is every time a book trips the trailing edge of a photocell in the loader, in the pocket right there, I don't know if you can see it or not, it's going to call that a P and put it in the register right here. And then the system's going to track it down to the caliper. So, for example, if I was to take a book on the line and trick the trailing edge here, it stuck a 1 in the register, because that is pocket 1. I do the same thing on pocket 2. I do the same thing on pocket 2. Now if you look at the register, there's a pocket 2 in this position, which is 4 pins back. The pockets are 4 pins apart. So if you leave that on there, I'll drop the line. Down closer to the caliper. At this point, the signature 1 or book 1 is 1 pin space away from the caliper. But you can see here it is. When it gets to this point, it's ready to check the book, in which it's right there at register 0. And what the caliper is going to do, because this is, when it checks that book, it's going to look to see what size it's supposed to be in pocket 1. Since it's a 0, the caliper knows you can look that on there. Since it's empty, the caliper says this is a new book, so it takes a reading of the book and it adds a 1 to it. The learn count is set to 3. Basically what that's telling the system is that it has to get 3 matching books in a row before it considers the book learned. So the second time that book comes through, which I'm going to do in a second, if it was the same size, it will add a 2 to that. When the third book comes down, if it's a match, it'll go to 0.0705, which means the book is learned. If it doesn't have a match, it's going to start over again. So it has, that way you don't feed a bunch of, like double miss, and it's trying to measure double books, So if I lay that under, I'm going to plug the guy in. Now book 2 is at the 0 position, which it is over here because I flagged that one. And there's another book 1 coming up today. Just learned book 2. Now I learned book 1. Book pocket 2, now it learned that book and it's its first learn, 1.063. Pocket 1 has 2 books I've already gone through, so it's 2.0705. Another pocket 1 here. I just got the third book through and they were all a match, so now Pocket 1 has learned it's 0.0. It knows it's good or bad. This marquee shows whether or not, you know, it calls the book good or bad. I don't know if you noticed on the screen, every now and then it pop up green and say learn book. That means it's checking the book for size, but it's not going to reject it. It's not learned yet. So now if I run another book through Pocket 1, my pan over here once in a while too, because it's too long. Okay, over here, it called that a good book. It matched size. Its size was .0707. There, the current book, it shows every single time a book goes through, that's what size the book was, which matches what's in the registry. Now this time I'll make a double book. Notice the red light flash. The marquee shows it's a bad book. Measured at .133, but it's supposed to be .0707. And then the system will also take the last book that was bad and store it in this registry right here as last bad. That way you can kind of tell, well, why did it reject it? Well, it said it was this size and it was supposed to be a different size. This caliper position, basically that's the position on the rotary axis where the caliper checks the book. I draw the line. At 103. Trying to get that close. Anyway, if you see this, if you see where this book is at right here, and you look at this dial, this goes from 0 to 1. Like .582 is almost a half a revolution too far. You leave that there, you see how it changes. That's wrong. What's it say now? 75. Where are we at? 95. 95. Did it roll over yet? Not yet. 97, 98, 99. Now. Got it? Yeah. Okay, that's the spot. Now if you look through the book, that's where we're checking it. And different from other calipers, this one's set up, it's going to remember that every time it powers up. So you're not going to have to be working with that anymore. So that's basically how the way it works. Now, let's say you want more accuracy, you want the average, because since the learn count is 3, what it does is when the first book comes through, it measures it. When the second book comes through, it will compare it, and if it's within these tolerances, which I'll explain in a minute, it will take those two sizes, add them together, divide by 2, and give you an average and put it in there. When the third book comes through, if it was within tolerance, it'll take that size, add it to this size, divide by 2, so you get an average, a running average of what what it's supposed to be. Now the tolerances, that's where we're doing. It has a minimum and a maximum. The tolerance here is a minimum is 0.1. Since we're trying to detect doubles, I set that wide because we're not trying to detect missing books. The controller will take care of that, or if the book's too small. If it's the wrong book in a pin space, the controller will catch that. The only thing the controller is not able to catch is if two identical books are in the same pin space. So 30 thousandths is just a number I put in there, which is small enough to detect that there's two books. You can change that. Oh, I keep thinking. You can change that if you want to .031 or whatever, and so on and so forth. Now, let's say that pocket learned bad and you want to start over again. Like let's say this pocket 2, we've learned one, but we don't like, we changed the book or something. If you click on that value, it'll zero that one out, and when it zeroes it out, it'll start over and learn again. So you can choose any pocket individually and zero it out. Let's say it just got a bad learn. Let's say you got 3 double books in a row, you know what I mean? You could change that individually. A learn count, you can change that. Let's say you want to do 5 books in a row before you call it good, or 10 or whatever. You could change that there. Also, if you want to flush out all the registries, you're starting all over again with a new job, you could just hit this reset all save values and it'll flush every one of these out to 0. See, now they're all zeros, which they were, but that one anyway. So you can do them individually or globally. Let's say now this thing is designed to pick up double books, and usually it's the real thin books that are doubles. Like if you got books that are 1/4 inch thick, 1/2 inch thick, you're not going to be pulling doubles of those. So if you want, you could turn the pocket, now all 20 pockets are on, but you can select individually pockets that you want to ignore the double book on. And the caliper will ignore those books. Or let's say that you know that books, you're only having problems with books that are 1/32 of an inch thick, a 1/16 of an inch thick, something like that, which is common. At this spot right here, the minimum book size, right now it's set to 1/2 inch, 0.5. You could say, well, I know that if the book is more than 1/8 of an inch, I'm not going to have a problem with it. Well, if I set that to 125, 0.125. Now, anytime a book comes through that's greater than 0.125 in thickness, the caliper is just going to ignore it. It's not even going to check it. It's just that way. It only looks at the little books, not the big books. Caliper on. That basically, if you turn the caliper off, it's not going to send a signal to the Fast Pro or XGen controller to recheck the book. So I will, that's pretty much the training on this. Yeah, I'll do an caliper position. Do you have any questions, Brian? Okay, that would probably be the end of the caliper training. Next will be maintenance.